Well, and welcome to the Go Spurs Go Memes podcast number 4, live but recorded from the Go Spurs Go Memes Network studios. I am your host, Ray. Of course, I am joined by my buddy, my sidekick, my partner in crime, Mr. Sean. Sean, how are you doing today, buddy?
Doing good, Ray. Doing good. Glad I can make it.
I'm glad that you're here. Of course, we do have Frank, the producer, here with us, and Buddy, the engineer, taking care of us over there on the mix board, making sure that we're sounding clear for you. As you may see on Periscope right now, we've upgraded our equipment. We're going to be sounding pretty freaking awesome for you guys. Again, we're doing all this because of the wonderful feedback that we're getting from you guys via the email, via Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. The feedback has just been absolutely amazing, and we appreciate it. So, Sean, how's your week, buddy? I haven't seen you since last Sunday, so how you doing?
Doing well. Just started the new job. This was my second week. Absolutely love it, killing it, and just ready to keep going. I actually really enjoy the job.
That's good, man. So what are you doing now?
I'm doing sales for a company. I don't want to go into too much detail,
Sure.
But I work mostly in sales for an auto refinance.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Mm-hmm. So I had a pretty good week, Sean. As I told everybody last week, I went on Overtime Sports again on Tuesday.
Yeah, how was that?
It was fun, a good time. It was live at the Malibu Shack on 410 and Bandera. They gave away prizes.
Were you able to play putt-putt in between that?
It wasn't that Malibu.
Oh,
it was
I'm
the
sorry.
Malibu Shack, not Malibu Grand Prix, Sean.
Excuse me, sir.
But I would get confused myself. But no, had a great time on there. Didn't really get to talk about the Spurs. There's just too much going on with football right now. So we talked a lot of pro, college, even high school football with all the drama happening with the kids from Jay and then also the kid from St. Anthony's that pushed the ref and stuff. So for the 2 hours, we just basically talked a lot of football. But it was fun. Like I said, they gave away prizes. They had some awesome specials and drinks and stuff like that. So people had a good time when they came out to hang out with us. So
fantastic,
that was good
man.
times. Yeah.
Great.
Let's see. What else do we want to talk about?
Football tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be
right.
football Saturday. We're recording Friday night, so we don't have any scores. But we can give you our best prediction, I guess.
Yeah, so as you guys know already, Sean, Frank, and I are part of a college pick'em with some other very good friends of ours. Going in to tomorrow, I should say, I am in second place. Sean and his dad, who is here in studio with us, they are in third place.
Tied for third.
Sorry, they are tied for third place. And then Frank is also in sixth place. So we don't know, what's going to happen tomorrow. We'll see what happens at the end of the night. And when we do the podcast next time, we'll give you guys an update on where we are in the standings. Yeah. But, a lot of great games that are going to be happening tomorrow. And we'll talk some more college football later in the broadcast. And that brings me to another point. With all the feedback that we've been getting, a lot of people have been asking, Ray and Sean, when are you guys going to talk football? Are you guys going to talk about the Cowboys? Are you going to talk about the Horns and the Aggies? And so we're going to kind of change our format with this podcast. Normally we do 3 segments, but now we're going to be doing 4. So each segment will be a little smaller, but we are going to include pro football and college football. So again, guys, if you love what you're hearing, tell us, send us emails at GoSpursGoMemes@gmail. You can also give us messages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We appreciate it. And now it is time for the news. All right, so let's see what's going on in the NBA. The Nets have signed Justin Harper. Timberwolves say they have signed guard Nick Wiggins, who is the older brother of Andrew Wiggins, and center Cleon Penn. Jazz forward Trevor Booker has had to have surgery to repair a broken nose he's received in the offseason. The Phoenix Suns have officially signed Henry Sims to a training camp contract. Also, the Suns have also signed Tariq White also to a training camp deal. The Lakers are looking at Sebastian Telfair. They're looking to see if they'd be able to sign him on he's an unrestricted free agent right now, possibly looking at getting him a camp deal to come and join the Lakers. We'll see what happens there. Speaking of the Lakers, Kobe Bryant has given full clearance, so he'll be able to play at the beginning of the season next year.
Is that clearance from the law, Ray, or clearance to play basketball?
I'm not too sure, Sean. I'm assuming this is just, his doctor saying that his injury, he is fine now. He can go out there and play with the Lakers now. So we'll see him on the court day one when the NBA comes back in October.
Doctor, judge, whatever. Okay, go ahead, Ray. I'm sorry.
Guard Norris Cole has signed a 1-year qualifying offer paying $3 million with the Pelicans, and next year he'll be an unrestricted free agent. Free agent guard Jordan Crawford has also reportedly agreed to a training camp deal with the Bulls. Now, the big news for Spurs fans this week is the Spurs and HEB have announced that LaMarcus Aldridge will be featured in those famous HEB commercials along with Timmy, Tony, Kawhi, Manu, and Patty.
Good. I'm kind of wondering what commercial ideas they're going to have. I mean,
He's a Texas boy.
He is a Texas boy. So are we going to get bombarded with barbecue ads?
I'm thinking barbecue ads, maybe Shinerbach ads, anything Texas.
Great.
You know, that's what I'm thinking that they're going to do. But of course, you know, it's HEB. They're very, very creative. Spurs fans love those commercials because they're pretty freaking hilarious. You know, you got the Greek yogurt one with Manu looking like a Roman. You know, just some really funny stuff like that.
I'm just hoping for some kind of combo loco to be a result of this great commercial. That's my goal.
I can probably guarantee you, Sean, there will be plenty of combo locos due to LaMarcus Aldridge being part of the commercials. So other big news here in San Antonio is that the New Era Basketball Association is starting a new team here in San Antonio next spring called the San Antonio Kings. What's very interesting about this, it's a brand new league. You can go on Facebook and look it up. It's not really D-League basketball. I would dare say it's like F-League basketball, just to kind of give you an idea. But it's basically a minor league for people that want to continue to play basketball, that want that opportunity to improve on their skills, to go out there and play. The San Antonio team will be called the Kings. I know that there are some games coming up. I think they have them I know it's in the spring. I think it's in March. And the only games that are listed on the calendar right now is they're playing in Little Rock against some other teams. So I'm still not sure exactly how this league works. I don't know if all the games will actually take place in Arkansas, because that's kind of what it looks like.
That'd be really weird.
It really is weird. Like I said, I really haven't looked into it too much, but it will be affordable. It should be, you know, nice family fun, be able to go for like $10 or so. So we'll see how that kind of pans out. Other big news concerning the Spurs, Tony Parker and Boris Dio, of course, are playing with Team France Les Bleus. They actually lost and are out of Eurobasket 2015. Spain and Paul Gasol did beat them in overtime, 80-75.
I want to bring up that last week I predicted that France was going to beat, what was it, Belarus? What was that country?
It was actually Dr. Doom and Latavia.
Latavia's out of here, kids. You heard it first from Sean.
It's true.
Money.
Sean did predict that and say that France would beat Latvia, and they did. I think I'm saying that correctly. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
Who's going to know?
It's true. But yeah, Latvia's out. They went up against Spain. So France is out. Spain does automatically get a bid. They will be playing Lithuania in the championship round. Both Lithuania and Spain will get bids to the Olympics.
See, I remember Lithuania in the last couple of Olympics. They have very talented big men, and that's the one thing USA basketball is really missing. We haven't had a large amount of talent coming, especially from the 5 spot. So Lithuania is a tough team. They've played. In fact, I think it was the closest game this past Summer Olympics was against.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen anything of Eurobasket, which is available on NBA TV, both Spain and Lithuania look just absolutely amazing. Gasol is just on another level. I'm talking about Paul Gasol, of course, with Spain. He's just on another level. He scored over 40 points against France. He basically just was a monster on the court.
Are you surprised he's doing so good in Europe? I mean, I know it's lesser talent overall, but I mean, are we seeing a resurgence in Gasol?
Well, you know, that's a good point to bring up, Sean, because, you know, he's with the Bulls now,
yeah.
And I'm just not seeing the passion that he has with Spain when he's there with Chicago. So I'm not too sure, you know, of course it is his country. I think we all give more to our country, but he's just completely on another level. Now, will that translate back to the NBA when they start back up on camp in a little bit? That I'm not too sure about, but he just looked awesome. And just a little tidbit there, for you. Tony Parker has never beaten Paul Gasol in Eurobasket. I think this is the 5th or 4th time Parker has met Spain, and he's lost every single time. And it does kind of worry me a little bit, Sean, because Tony did not look very well in this game against Spain. I believe he missed 36 of his last 47 shots. You're starting to hear it from a lot of analysts about, you know, oh, is this a bad sign for the Spurs? Will Tony Parker be able to come back, to old Parker, be that floor general and lead the Spurs back to where they want to be?
Yeah, and, you know, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully he's going to be okay. With Tony, every now and again he'll have a bad ankle. I believe that's the biggest injury he's ever had. I think he had a shoulder injury once. But again, he's our go-to. He's our starting point guard. We need him for any kind of sustained Spurs run, especially in the playoffs.
And it's true. And we kind of mentioned last week that the big man has kind of disappeared. We grew up during the era of Ewing and Hakeem Olajuwon and David Robinson, Dikembe Mutombo, where teams kind of fed off of this center power forward. And right now, I forgot which news organization kind of did some research on, which position is the most important for an NBA team, and it came back that it's actually the point guard. Gets the most shots, of course, handles the ball the most, gets the most assists, yada, yada, yada. And so because of that, a lot of people are looking at, okay, if the Spurs want a serious run into the playoffs, they're going to need a healthy Tony Parker.
If we're not going to have a healthy Tony Parker, we need an outstanding Patty Mills, to say the least. But Patty, he is a shooting point guard. He's not a big passer. And honestly, we don't need him to be. He's a great shooter, and I want to keep him as a great shooter. I don't want his role to change and him feeling that extra stress.
Yeah, and of course, the Spurs now have Ray McCallum, who I think is a great addition. I think a lot of people were really disappointed when the Spurs traded away Corey Joseph to Toronto. Well, not traded him away. He actually signed with Toronto. My mistake there. But I think Ray McCallum could be an upgrade for the Spurs. He did really well in Sacramento. He is one of the new Spurs that I'm very excited about seeing on the court, and I believe we're less than 30 days from another Spurs game. It'll be on the road at Miami, but that's fastly approaching on us.
And that's preseason, right?
That's preseason, exactly. That's
so we're
preseason.
going to probably get to see a good amount of him since he's brand new, and usually it's sad to say preseason is usually garbage time. That's when you're going to make your cuts on who's making the team, who's going to the D-League, and who might just be going back to Europe.
Exactly. Now, and speaking of Europe and D-League and all that stuff, some more news concerning the Spurs. 2013 draft pick Deshaun Thomas. News came out today that the Spurs did offer the required tender to retain his rights. It's not known at this time if Thomas actually signed that contract, but he did on his own Instagram put up pictures of himself here in San Antonio at the practice facility doing shoot around with some of the other Spurs, including Matt Bonner. And so it does kind of look like he will be going to camp with the Spurs this year.
Ray, I've taken a lot of pictures in front of Bentleys, but doesn't mean I'm driving them. I just want to point that out. And if your litmus test for making the Spurs is Matt Bonner, he may have just been a DJ at some party, as we've noticed recently.
Yes, DJ Matt Bonner, DJ Ginger, right?
Is it DJ Ginger?
No, I'm just making that up as we go.
DJ Red Mamba.
It is DJ Red Mamba. There you go. That's what it is. I don't know where Ginger came from, but I'm going to go with that.
If we could only find the way that came from.
It's true. So if Thomas is going to be going to camp with the Spurs, there was rumor that Caddy Lalane, another draft pick of the Spurs, was also going to be at camp. That'll be all 20 spots going. The Thomas deal is also a non-guaranteed contract, which means that the Spurs can either put him on the roster this year or send him back to Europe. I still feel that last spot on the roster is going to go to Jimmer Fredette. I'm a big Jimmer fan.
I am too. I am pro Jimmer.
I am pro Jimmer. I really hope that he's going to show off. I really think that he will thrive in the Spurs system.
I completely agree with you, and there's nothing going to be better than hearing Sean Elliott yell, Jimmer!
Yeah, like if Jimmer makes the team, I think the fan base will completely get on board with Jimmer Fredette. And I'm curious what the chant's going to be for when Jimmer comes out, because I just have a feeling that it's going to be Jimmer mania. Is it going to be Jimmer time? There's so many things that people can say, but I really think that if Jimmer is on the roster day one, when game one starts on October 29th, I believe it is, he's on the roster. How are the fans going to react to him being in a Spurs uniform?
I know he hasn't even officially made the team, and he hasn't even set foot on court for the Spurs. For some reason, I'm just equating him to the Wally Zerbiak of the Spurs. I don't know why. I just came into my head.
I'm really pumped about Jimmer. I think he can be an amazing shooter. Being on with the Spurs, I just think being in this rotation and the system, I think he's going to thrive. So I can't wait to see him in it. And also this week, the Spurs also announced that the tickets on sale date has moved forward.
Yeah.
So now preseason tickets, those 3 preseason games the Spurs are going to have at the brand new AT&T Center, I should say, will go on sale on September 18th. Regular season tickets will go on sale on September 24th, 10 a.m. That's a Thursday. So keep that in mind, because I know I had been telling everybody that it was going to be on Friday the 25th.
It's got moved up.
But they moved it up a little bit, probably because I spoiled it for everybody. But I'm sorry, that's what I was told. The 25th was the date. So be ready. Sean and I mentioned it last week. 13,200 season tickets sold out. 3,000 individual tickets left, and the tickets are just for games up to the All-Star break. And Sean and I will be back in just a bit. And we're back. All right, Sean. I think we got a pretty good topic to start here in segment 2. So what we're going to talk about now are the homes of the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through every place the Spurs has called home. We also put a post up on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter asking people, tell us what your favorite memory was at any of the arenas. And we did get some great feedback. So we'll also mention that in there and do some shout outs to some fans of Go Spurs Go memes on Facebook.
Heck yeah.
So, of course, Sean, we got to start off with Hemisphere Arena. It was the home to the ABA NBA San Antonio Spurs from 1973 to 1993.
Ray, I believe you're forgetting about the San Antonio Force of the AFL also being there.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring that up, but I'm glad that you did, because I actually loved when the Force played at Hemisphere. I loved arena football. I did. I just thought it was the coolest thing, and I think they were only around for like 1 year, something like that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was. So of course, the arena was originally built as part of the 1968 Hemisphere, along with the tower. The arena originally only held 10,000 fans for basketball. The Spurs did move to the arena after the ABA Dallas Chaparral's franchise relocated following the 1972-73 season.
And following that next year, February of 74, we had the Iceman come into town, and he helped transform the Spurs franchise into what we see today. Yeah, the Spurs were so successful that the ABA franchise actually became an NBA franchise following the merger in 76. In fact, there was only 4 teams from the ABA to make it on over. The 5-time winning San Antonio Spurs, the 0-winning New York Nets, the 0-winning Denver Nuggets, the 0-winning Indiana Pacers.
There you go.
For shame, Indiana. Come on, you should have had at least one with Reggie by now. Anyways, well, the Spurs played their first home game in the arena October 10th, 1973, losing to the San Antonio Conquistadors 121-106 in front of a packed house of almost 6,000 people.
That's just, you think about today, and you hear 6,000 people, and it sounds like nothing, but back then it was a lot of people. And of course, Spurs games began to sell out regularly, so the roof of the arena had to be raised and lifted during the summer of 78, the year I was born, adding an upper deck to the facility, allowing for a capacity of over 16,000. Now, while the renovation boosted capacity, it did result in a lot of obstructed view seats because of the support beams required for the upper deck. Now, Sean, you and I were kind of talking about this earlier. If you ever were at Hemisphere Arena for a Spurs game, concert, whatever, you knew about the columns.
The best memory I have, the first time I ever got to sit lower level at Hemisphere, super excited. Oh, it's 20th row. This is going to be great. Tickets were super cheap. Get there, obstructed view. Very first lower level game was an obstructed view.
Yeah, and I remember, I don't remember what game it was, but I want to say it was one of my first Spurs games. I remember also having obstructed view. It wasn't that bad, but I kind of had to keep moving my head left and right to be able to see as the players went up and down the court. But I mean, what wasn't there to love about Hemisphere? It was just such an awesome atmosphere. Of course, capacity up throughout its lifetime. It was just considered one of the loudest arenas in the NBA.
And, unfortunately, Hemisphere got torn down in 95. I mean, it was 2 years after the Spurs moved to the Alamo Dome in 93. The last Spurs game to ever take place at the Hemisphere took place on May 20th, 93, when the Spurs lost to the Phoenix Suns in Game 6 of the Western Conference semifinals. And that was it was that last-second jumper by, actually, one of my favorite players, Charles Barkley. Can't be too mad about it. I love Charles Barkley, even when he was a player.
You know, the funny thing about that, I remember it vividly when Barkley hit the shot over Robinson.
Yeah.
And he was the person that closed Hemisphere for basketball.
Yeah.
He was the last basketball game at Hemisphere Arena. But there was other things that happened at Hemisphere before it shut down.
Yeah, the last actual big ticket event that happened there was the 1995 Van Halen concert.
Oh, I love Van Halen.
Yeah, Van Hagar, I think, was at that same time, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. It was Van Hagar, so it shouldn't be Van Halen. We need to fix that. Our bad. It was Van Hagar.
We'll fix it in post. Anyways, the last actual event there was for a local high school graduation, my dad's own Thomas Jefferson High School, May 30th, 1995. Go Mustangs.
Yeah, so of course, the arena opened up in 68 with about 10,000 seats. By the time it closed in 95, it had 16,000 seats. And of course, after the Spurs left Hemisphere, where did they go, Sean? They went right across the highway to the brand new Alamo Dome. The Alamo Dome opened on May 15th of 1993 and was constructed at a cost of $186 million. Now, remember that fact because that's going to come back later in this segment and in our podcast later on. Now, the dome can seat 65,000 for a typical football game and can be expandable up to 72,000. Of course, the whole reason for that was so that the city of San Antonio had the potential to host a Super Bowl. And of course, you think about that now, so many more NFL stadiums are just so much bigger than that.
Over 100,000 seats.
I mean, it's just crazy what it's become. And if I'm not mistaken, I know I read somewhere that for the dome to be upgraded to hold an NFL team, it would actually cost them more to renovate the dome to make it up to NFL standards than it would be to tear it down and build a brand new stadium in its place.
And that's the thing that kind of almost upsets me, that we didn't get a confirmed, we'll have a Super Bowl there. We just built this giant stadium that...
Oh, well, I mean, it was all, we were lied to. We were promised that we would get an NFL team. It would make the city more attractive. And we basically just have a big empty building in downtown San Antonio.
Which, I mean, is still almost empty all the time. Thank God for the UTSA football team. Otherwise...
Right.
Unless you're doing a boat show or home and garden show, you're never going to set foot in there during the year.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing you bring up too. Is the Roadrunners are in there for now, but the Roadrunners are also constructing their own stadium. So once that thing is built, they're gonna leave the dome. Frank?
One thing I got to say about the dome, though, it has made money. The one thing about it is that it's lasted for so many years that it's gotten out of the red. I mean, conventions, teams, whenever we're basically a visiting team type of facility. I mean,
we're an emergency football stadium.
That's exactly what we are. Yeah,
exactly.
If somebody needs a home for a week or two, they contact San Antonio.
I do take that back. I've been to a couple Alamo Bowls, and we've been to an Alamo Bowl.
Oh, and I've been to Disney on Ice. So there are plenty of events that happen, and of course that happens when you have kids.
And shame on me for not knowing that.
So let's see. The Spurs, of course, moved to the Dome after the 92-93 season. They played 9 seasons in the Dome, including their first ever NBA championship season, which was against the New York Knicks in 1999. Now, during the regular season, most of the upper level was curtained off.
And sucked.
Yeah, it really did. However, on certain weekends, when popular teams came to town, the Spurs expanded the Dome's capacity up to 35,000 by opening up the lower levels. And the cool thing about that is that you could get a ticket for $10 and be up in the crazy nosebleeds, yes, but you were able to go to the Spurs game.
See, I remember sitting for a school event, and I want to say it was the Nuggets. They actually set us on the other side of the curtain. We were able to see about 3/4 of the court, but they still decided to sell us an $8 ticket.
Yeah,
school. Come on.
I remember when they used to do that because you would get some of those tickets and it would say on your ticket obstructed view, but it was just the curtain was in the way.
Yeah, it was like, spying on a neighbor. You're waiting for that gust to move the curtain. I'm just saying, from what I've heard.
So during the playoffs, more sections of the upper level were open, expanding capacity to 39,500. It's just absolutely crazy. I mean, just think of the numbers for the NBA Finals. 39,514 for Game 1, 39,554 for Game 2. And, of course, after the Alamo Dome, the Spurs were already talking to the city, we don't like the Dome, we want more suites, we want it to be more intimate because, of course, at Hemisphere it used to be so loud. You didn't get that at the Dome.
At all.
And then finally, they were able to get the AT&T Center built. Multi-purpose indoor arena, east side of San Antonio, has 18,581 seats for basketball, 16,000 for ice hockey. The best thing about the AT&T Center is that it's a basketball arena.
But, the other great thing, I've been to a couple concerts there, and it sounds awesome. Hockey, it's a stretch unless we have a professional team coming in. It's just too many seats for, and I love the Rampage. I will go to Rampage games.
Dollar Beer Night.
Thursday nights, I believe. And absolutely just a fun experience. Especially, it's a cheap, enjoyable way to spend time with the family, especially during, the holiday season and everything else. But it's just tough with hockey. We could do more with less there. But, again, the concerts are fantastic. We saw AC/DC there.
Oh, I had a blast at AC/DC there. Now, of course, Sean, in December of 2014, Bexar County's Commissioner's Court gave the Spurs Sports and Entertainment permission to begin up to $101.5 million in renovations to the AT&T Center. So, man, I can't wait to go into the AT&T Center at the start of this season. We're getting a new scoreboard, new ribbon.
Did you forget about the energy efficiencies?
I did not, because I did mention that last time. It's going to save the city like $65,000.
You're welcome.
With the new Musco LED lighting system that's going in there, updated televisions inside and out, state-of-the-art time system. State-of-the-art sound system. Improved Wi-Fi, which is one of the big things about it. But, Sean, I had put up a post on Facebook asking people what were your best memories, and we had a great response from people.
Yeah, man, it was absolutely great. We had Ronnie Alec, who said his favorite place was always going to be the arena. He saw his first game there in 1980 when he was 8. It was he was hooked and has been a Spurs fan for over 35 years. He said his saddest moment, he happened to be there the night Barkley shut down the arena, and he cried.
Oh, now Christopher Vela, quote, "Sitting up in the nosebleeds at Hemisphere as a kid, going to both games 1 and 2 of the finals in '99 when they had obstructed view seats for sale in the Dome. Watching the streamers come down in 2014 after the Spurs got revenge against the Heatles at home in the AT&T."
And then we had Jacob Moreno said, "I'll never forget the night in the Alamo Dome when the water cannons blasted my dad and I. We were directly under the cannons near the floor. Keep up the good work."
Thanks, Jacob. Go Spurs Go fan Sarah Huerta said, "The arena days where my dad taught me how to heckle, and I copied him at yelling at Larry Bird and the rest of the Celtics, only to find out the humbling experience of learning who is sitting in front of you, which at the time was a row full of Celtic fans. I still haven't learned when to keep my mouth shut. Oh, I also love how they used to have autograph nights and you could go down to the court and meet the team. That's where I got my autographs and pics taken with Rod Strickland, Alvin Robertson, and Frank Brakowski. Obviously, only one of those guys I'm proud of." Sarah also asked to be included in the drawing for the case of kielbasa sausage. Unfortunately, Sarah, that's a thing that we do with Overtime Sports. If you listen to them on KEDA 1 to 3 on Tuesdays, they do give away a case of sausage. Here on Go Spurs Go Memes, we're not at that level yet to be giving away any cases of meat.
One day, Ray. One day.
One day.
Now, over on Instagram, we had server 83 that said, "My first Spurs game was in 93 at the Hemisphere Arena, and all I can remember is the heart of downtown and loud as hell as they were playing the Suns in the second round of the playoffs. I loved it there, but, it's kind of small enough seats, but hated I believe that's supposed to be obstruction views. Stan Kelly is saying the loudest arena in the NBA in his crackling voice."
There you go.
And the other favorite moment, again from Savior 83, was when it was the Memorial Day Miracle. I'll never forget it. As for the AT&T Center, when Duncan made a three-pointer against the Suns in the playoffs.
Nice. Also on Instagram, Lyrical Poet 420. "I remember the noise meter at Hemisphere. Also, those stairs were steep."
And, I just want to bring up one of my favorite memories of the Spurs. It had to do with one of the earliest games. I remember going with my dad, and I want to say it was 88. I think it was 5 or 6. But I remember we're sitting up top, and the favorite memory I had was you could see the whole court. It was like watching a TV straight down on you. And I remember we went to a double overtime game. I believe Blue Edwards was playing for the Utah Jazz and hit a emergency three-pointer to go into double overtime.
Nice.
But the best part was looking all around. It was full of the Air Force blue. We had all the Air Force bases open at the time. Kelly, Medina, Randolph, and Brooks. Everybody was open. But the entire upper deck was pretty much full of this light military blue, and everybody was chanting. It was just one of those moments that you'll never forget.
Yeah, and it's true, man. I have two memories. One was, of course, Hemisphere Arena, my first Spurs game. I remember walking with my dad from the parking lot downtown that used to be there right next to the arena.
Oh, yeah,
and it was just the awesome walk from the parking lot to the inside of the arena with all the Spurs fans, everybody excited, and then getting into Hemisphere. And, I remember just being so little and thinking that this arena is freaking huge. What Severe brought up, I believe it was... Actually, no, Lyrical Poet brought it up, the steep stairs.
Yeah.
And I totally remember those steep stairs at Hemisphere. And my second favorite thing concerning like a Spurs game was AT&T Center this past year was the first time I took my daughters to a Spurs game.
Fantastic, man.
My daughter Madison, who is a dancer, performed at halftime. She had a blast, a great experience. We sat together. We enjoyed the game. Chuck Carroll, who is the in-arena host, she calls him Uncle Chuck. She was so excited to see him and to have him come up and, hug her and tell her how great she looked on the floor. So that was just a great time for me.
And see, my last memory that I'm going to bring up, again, this was over at Hemisphere. My mom had tickets from work. My dad, we grew up, he painted houses. And so one night, she was waiting for my dad to take me. Well, it kept coming later and later. This was before cell phones, too. Well, we couldn't get a hold of him. And so I asked my mom, I was like, are we going to miss out? She said no. She threw me in the car. We drove downtown. We went to the game. We were in the last row, upper deck of the Hemisphere Arena against the Trailblazers. Still never going to forget it. I was able to touch the ceiling.
How awesome. Like we were talking about, guys, just lots of memories at all three buildings. We can't wait to get into the new AT&T Center when the Spurs hit the court in October. Sean and I will be back in a bit. And we're back. All right, guys. Now is the segment that you guys have been asking for. You've been telling us on email and on Facebook.
Begging for it, right?
Guys, are you going to talk Cowboys or are you going to talk college football? So we're going to give it to you guys. This next segment is going to be everything pro and college football. So let's start with the pros, Sean. Of course, the big game on Sunday is the Cowboys at the Eagles. What are your thoughts, Sean?
I think the Cowboys, they got the win versus the Giants. Great for them. Barely. They're also going to be without Des Bryant.
Right.
He's got a broken bone in his foot. Which bone? We don't know, but we know it's a bone.
Yeah, he's going to be out like 6 to 8 weeks, I think is what they said. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I was very impressed with their win. Tony Romo marched them down the field. Even though the Giants made some mistakes, gave them some extra time, Romo got them down there. He fumbled the ball, picked it back up, got the ball to Witten, got a touchdown. So, it was very impressive.
He's really come around as a reliable player. And I'm happy for him that he has. I don't know how long it's going to last, but you know what, Cowboys fans? Ride it out. It's going to be fun. I'm going to give you one word of advice, Cowboys fans. Sam Bradford's on week 2 of the Chip Kelly system. It may be a different outcome than what you're used to.
Yeah, well, so many people talked about the Eagles, about how they were going to be this amazing team because of the way the preseason went, and then they opened up at the Falcons. They lost. The Falcons just basically destroyed them. At least parts of the game that I saw, the Falcons were just way ahead. The Eagles couldn't do anything. DeMarco who, he didn't show up for the game at all. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at home for the Eagles. I still think the strong point for the Cowboys, of course, is their offensive line.
No, it's the best in the NFL.
It really is. If that offensive line stays healthy, I think the Cowboys are going to do a lot of things. I don't think they're going to go to a Super Bowl, but I do think it may be a wild card playoff. Yeah, wild card is what I'm safe with saying.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of Texas, we have the Houston Texans.
There we go.
What's there to say about the Texans?
I would like to point out one thing. They were down 27-0. They lost 27-20. They came
Ryan
back
Mallett.
Mallett's always had a hell of an arm. We saw it in Arkansas.
Right.
Long delivery, but, cannon. Just straight cannon.
And that's the thing I don't understand, Sean, is the Texans have Hoyer. They made him the starter. Hoyer didn't do anything in Cleveland. Think about the time that they put Manziel in for him and stuff. He just didn't do anything. And so I'm really surprised with a talented kid like Ryan Mallett that they didn't let him be the starter. But this coming weekend, he will be starting for the Texans.
And this is his time to shine. I honestly think you're looking at maybe his second to last chance to make an impression on the NFL.
Yeah, you're right. I do agree with you.
If it doesn't pan out, I think he'll get one last chance, maybe as a third string backup somewhere, and hope, and it sounds bad, hope for injuries, because that's the only way he's going to play if he doesn't do well in this outing.
Yeah, and I didn't watch any Panthers game last week, so I'm not too sure how they looked. I did see some highlights here. They didn't look like anything special.
They don't look terrible, but they're definitely not top tier.
Right. So what are your picks for the Cowboys, Eagles, Texans, Panthers, Sean?
I'm honestly going to say Eagles 27, Cowboys 20. I think it's going to be reasonably close. I do think the Eagles are going to win by more than 7. Not 100% confident.
I'm going to go with the Eagles winning by a field goal.
Okay.
And I think that the Panthers will beat the Texans.
I actually think the Texans might win 20-14. That's going to be my pick. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Exactly.
J.J. Watt, touchdown as a tight end. I'll call it right now.
So, of course, there was a lot of big news that came out of Austin this week with the news that Texas AD Steve Patterson has been fired.
Oh, where'd he go?
Yeah. I don't know if he's going anywhere, Sean, but he is no longer the AD at Texas. So, of course, that brings up tons of questions. What happens with Charlie Strong? Is he still going to have a job at Texas? Who's going to replace Patterson? There's a lot of people clamoring for Mac Brown, which makes no sense in my opinion.
I don't see it either. And how could ESPN keep going without Mac Brown?
He does kind of hold that team together. I mean, if you think about it, game day was nothing without Mac Brown. Sarcasm.
Complete
utter sarcasm. Mac Brown made some really sad comments. He basically said the state of Texas football isn't because of him. I completely disagree. The state of Texas football is completely because of him.
Look at all the other. Look at everywhere else in the state. TCU, powerhouse. Baylor, powerhouse. A&M looks great so far this year.
But you bring up A&M. The big thing with A&M, I think, was the hire of Bill Byrne as AD.
No, completely agree.
When he got to A&M, he changed everything. He hired Sumlin. He turned A&M around. Boosters are happy. The fan base is happy. They're part of the SEC. Hell, they just opened up, Kyle Field to be the largest stadium in the SEC. It now seats over 104,000.
And that's saying something, especially after Tennessee's dominance all through the 90s as the biggest place to see a college football.
Right, Neyland Coliseum or Neyland Stadium. There you go. Neyland Stadium.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the Aggies,
so this week they'll be taking on Nevada, the Wolfpack. I think the Aggies look great.
They do. Their defensive line looks so incredibly fast.
It really does look like that Wrecking Crew defense is back.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, that's not Wrecking Crew.
No, but you were close.
I was close
12th man. Yeah, we know it's all.
Yeah.
Seattle here.
But their defense looks great. I've been saying it since the beginning that I felt the Aggies were going to make some noise this year in college football. I don't expect them to win the SEC, but I do think they're going to make some noise.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they win the West of the SEC. I really don't. I actually think they actually will become. They're going to come out of the SEC as the champ. I don't think they're going to be undefeated. I do think they're going to be the champ, though.
Okay, well, my big prediction for A&M is that they have Alabama at home. I think they beat Bama. Mm-hmm. Bama should be coming in undefeated.
LSU?
That's my big. I think they go to LSU.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
I don't have the schedule right in front of me, but I believe they do go to LSU, so I'm not too confident on that. But then again, we really haven't seen LSU. Their first game was canceled.
And I think that only made them matter.
Yeah.
Because kids growing up, if it's rain outside and you can't go to recess, you're waiting to play.
Yeah, and I think
that's what LSU
did look good last week. So we'll see what happens there. But I do think Aggies will beat Bama in October at Kyle Field. Back to Austin real quick. Of course, this weekend you have the Longhorns going up against Cal. Cal's coming to visit. I think the Horns are going to get destroyed. Cal right now is averaging over 500 yards of offense. The Texas defense is giving up over 400. It's going to be a long afternoon in Austin.
The only shining star for that defense on Texas is that redshirt freshman Jefferson, I believe it is.
Yes, Malik.
He looks fantastic. He's an NFL first-round draft pick barring any kind of injury. He looks amazing.
Yeah, he does. There are just not many highlights there. I know a lot of Texas fans were pretty excited with the victory over Rice.
Okay, guys.
And that's the thing is, people started saying like, oh, things are turning around. No, you played Rice.
Yeah.
You're supposed to win. You're supposed to destroy Rice. It's not.
It's like if you're in a fight with an actual bag of rice, you're supposed to win it.
You're supposed to win, and the Horns did win. But there were some people saying this is great and everything, but they look so bad against Notre Dame.
How bad do you think it's going to be Saturday?
My prediction is that easy. I think Cal will win at least by 3 touchdowns. I know I'm kind of reaching there with a big blowout, but I just don't see Texas stopping Cal's offense. I just don't see it happening.
I see the Cal Bears leaving Austin 17-point victory and a lot of Franklin's barbecue. That's what I see.
I'm with you.
If folks, and we don't, of course, we don't encourage betting, but if you were, that's a safe bet. I'm going to say it.
It's a very safe bet. And of course, we mentioned that Patterson is out. So Mac Brown was one of the names, one of the candidates that's been floating around to replace him as AD. But also Oliver Luck is out there. Oliver Luck was the former AD at West Virginia. He got his bachelor's at West Virginia. Also got his doctorate in law at the University of Texas.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are pulling for Luck. Wouldn't be surprised if more names start to pop up.
Why not? I mean, honestly, does anybody have any knocks against him? His kid is a starting NFL quarterback. I mean, if Archie Manning can get commercials and be successful in any kind of realm.
The bigger issue with Luck is that he was kind of hurt that he wasn't selected the first round, that Patterson was chosen over him. Patterson was chosen because of his experience running a pro league, a real franchise. And that's basically why the Texas donors didn't like him at Texas, that he wasn't very friendly. He was very cold with them. I know I read somewhere that Joe Jamel, who the field is named after, he actually declined his suite at Royal Stadium this year because he just was so unhappy with everything. And I know that Patterson raised ticket prices 21%.
Yeah, they went really high because I've been living in Austin for the past couple of years, and I've always wanted to go to a game, but they've always been fairly expensive. But this past year, they were noticeably more expensive.
Yeah, they were so expensive, Sean, that 10,000 season ticket holders declined renewing their season tickets.
That's not good.
And when you look at down the road up at College Station, there's a waiting list for tickets. For season tickets. It tells you something. Now, mind you, Texas is going through, I keep saying it, Texas is going through the transition that A&M did during the Franchione years. I still think Charlie Strong is going to be fired at the end of year 3. Possibly this year, if things don't get better, I'm kind of expecting Texas to only have 3 wins this year.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3, maybe 4. I don't see him making a bowl game. I don't even see him being bowl eligible, to be completely honest.
Exactly. So of course, we were both saying that the Horns are going to lose this week. We think the Aggies are going to win. What else is going on in the top 10, Sean?
Well, we have Ohio State still at number 1.
The Ohio State University.
Excuse me, Buckeye Nation. The only game I'm interested in watching is either the Big Ten Championship or when they play Michigan State.
Michigan State is the only team right now that poses a challenge to Ohio State. But I still think Ohio State is going to go into the playoffs. They're going to go to the championship, and they're going to repeat as college football champion.
Undefeated.
I agree.
Next, we have Alabama, who has a tough matchup this weekend against Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss is going to be visiting Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
And I think College Game Day is going to be live from there as well.
No, it is. But the other thing you have to remember, Ole Miss beat Alabama last year, but that was at Ole Miss. And Saban, on technically revenge games, is 9-1.
There you go. Well, not just that, Sean, but Ole Miss lost a lot of players. It's not the same Ole Miss team. I think a lot of people are missing that when they're thinking that Ole Miss is going to go into Tuscaloosa and beat Bama.
Well, and the other thing Ole Miss fans need to remember as well, their starting left tackle, Tunsil, I believe is his name, they're projecting him to be a top 10 draft pick. In fact, they're looking at him being the top left tackle taken in the draft. He is under academic suspicion and will not be playing.
Oh, snap.
No, excuse me, not academic. Something to do with talking to a... what do you call it? Those sports agent guys.
Oh, an agent?
Yeah, that's what they call them. Anyways,
what else?
After Alabama, we got TCU.
Horned Frogs.
I mean, the Minnesota game, Minnesota has a decent defense. I'm not going to go with them. I'm not going to go against them.
Minnesota, Sean. It really is Minnesota.
Hey, you leave them Golden Gophers alone, okay? After that, we have our friends that we already mentioned before, the Michigan State University. Spartans. And again, they look fantastic. They beat Oregon handily. Excuse me. They did not beat Oregon handily. They won the game.
Their defense came up great. Stopped Oregon. Oregon had those flashy uniforms. Didn't help. I was really impressed with Michigan State. Again, on their calendar, the big question is that Ohio State game, which I think is November 21st. I still think Ohio State is going to beat them, but I think the game is in East Lansing as well.
Next, we have Baylor. Shout out to my boy Adrian, graduate of Baylor. He actually was at the Lamar game this past week, which they won. By the way, you played Lamar. You should win. Those Cardinals aren't Stanford. Another thing about Baylor, they are going to go to TCU this year. If you remember that game last year, TCU going to Baylor, one of the best games I've seen in the last 10 years.
It was like PlayStation. It was like playing a PlayStation.
It was fantastic.
They were just scoring and scoring. But I think Baylor will destroy TCU this year.
Now, a team that's surprising a lot of people is USC. They're finally getting over all of their academic, we're going to take a couple scholarships away. Oh, hey, here they are now. And they're actually using them pretty good. In fact, if you look at the talent pool for USC, I would put it almost up there with Ohio State. Depth-wise, not really. But if you look at their starters, that's a talented team.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's USC. They got, great resources, everything, great talent pool in California. Yeah, I mean, I still think the better team in Los Angeles is going to be UCLA. I still say that the Bruins are going to make a lot of noise in the Pac-12 this year. That's the team that I'm really looking forward to. And UCLA has a big game against BYU this week.
I can't wait.
I can't wait to see that game, just the way that BYU has been ending the games recently, but I still think UCLA is going to make some noise.
Next, we got the Bulldogs of Georgia at number 7.
Georgia.
And the other thing to remember, the only thing I remember from the Georgia game is the guy hiding in the doghouse with the dog. So we're going to leave it there. Georgia's always ranked high. Georgia's never that
It's
great.
a Mark Reich team, and they're going to start off high in the polls, and then they're just going to disappear.
Next is my team. You're Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They're going to play Georgia Tech this week. I am currently wearing a Notre Dame jersey. I do not expect them to beat Georgia Tech.
They will not. Yeah, Notre Dame lost their quarterback. They've also lost their
starting running back.
Yeah, and I think their tight end as well, didn't they? There was another injury.
They lost one of the tight ends, but they have 3 other guys. They even have a true freshman that looks really talented.
I think Georgia Tech is going to beat them. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
No, I don't either.
But I do think they're going to beat Notre Dame.
And Georgia Tech finally has a quarterback that can throw, so it's not going to be all triple option. Game starts at 2:30 tomorrow. I would suggest watching it, folks, because I think it's going to be a good game so far.
I agree with you, Sean. I do think it's going to be a great game. A lot of people don't give Georgia Tech enough credit, but I'm positive they're going to beat Notre Dame tomorrow.
Number 9, we have Florida State.
Whoa.
Exactly. Get ready to, when you play Clemson, call me, and especially when you play Georgia Tech, probably in the conference finals.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to make it. Golson's a nice pick. You guys are going to enjoy a nice bowl, but you're not going to be there for the playoffs.
No.
And lastly, UCLA, we touched on earlier.
UCLA.
I still think they're coming. If they beat BYU and they beat them handily, I think they're coming out of the Pac-10.
I agree with you. Pac-12. Pac-12 now, yes. All right, guys. Sean and I will be back with you guys in just a bit. And we're back. It's time for our final segment of this podcast, which is also our favorite. Sean and I are now joined by our friend Frank, the producer, which means it is time for On the Fly. So, guys, we talked earlier about Hemisphere Arena, the Alamo Dome, and the AT&T Center. We talked about the renovations happening at the AT&T Center. I think it's a good topic to kind of stick with, to kind of talk about all these arenas and stadiums that are kind of being built and these experiences that fans can kind of have when they go to a sporting event now.
No, yeah, I mean, the Warriors are building a brand new one near San Francisco. The old Warrior Stadium, super, super loud. I hope to keep the loudness. In fact, that's the NBA team known for their loud crowds. And Seattle has it in football. Let's keep the Warriors having it there. I mean, it's a great thing.
And the crazy thing is Oracle Arena, while the name Oracle is more new, it's been around since like 66. So it is probably the oldest arena in the NBA right now. And I think this whole new arena for them, the Warriors Arena, is going to be like privately financed. They're not asking for taxpayer money or anything. But there's also a new arena going up in Milwaukee, and there's a lot of controversy with that. Frank, I think you kind of know a little bit about that. Well, at least I thought you did, because there's a lot of politics going on with that. So basically, the Bucks organization asked for a new arena to be built in Milwaukee. They went to Governor Scott Walker, basically begged him for money. He approved it. And so the taxpayers are going to be dropping like $250 million to build a building that's worth $400 million.
Man, great job, Bucks fans. I can't wait for that all-star team to start clicking since you just spent all that money on it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I mean, that brings up a lot of things that happens in terms of behind the scenes when it comes to these stadium deals and stuff. Because basically what you're looking at an owner who has essentially a toy, their hobby, whatever it is, and they want someone else to cater to it. Now, the thing about it is that the politics that are involved in here, it has to deal a lot with the lobbying, and you don't essentially bribe a politician, but what you do is you buy access to them. You give a little money to their campaign. You give like if you give $10,000 to them, or have host a dinner for them, $100 a plate, $1,000 a plate. Eventually, what happens is that this politician will remember you, and they'll understand like, oh, okay, well, I do realize that you're going to be, having a new stadium. Let me see what I can help you out with.
And that's exactly what happened in Wisconsin here, as Scott Walker said, okay, giving them $250 million to build this brand new Bucks arena. And of course, the Bucks organization has promised the people in Milwaukee, we're going to build this arena downtown, going to move them out of the Bradley Center, and we're also going to build this entertainment complex around to give life to the area, which we all know is a bunch of bullshit because it doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't happen at all.
It doesn't happen here in the city, too.
No, that was a big promise with the AT&T centers. We built it on the east side. Oh, there's going to be so much more life there. There's going to be new businesses, and there's nothing around the AT&T Center.
This is giving me a great idea. If anybody wants to give us $1,000 to get access to this podcast, guys, I don't mean to speak for all of us, but yeah, do it.
I'll do it for $500.
Yeah, $500. You can do your own segment.
$30. No,
bring us donuts and we're good.
Yeah, we want to get fed and $500. That's the offer.
Now, let's see. Another NBA team is getting a new arena as well, and that's Sacramento. They're building a brand new downtown arena.
Now, do you think it's going to look like Prague, since most of the management is going to be coming from Eastern Europe?
That's a good question, Sean, because you are right about the Eastern European not references, but flavors that are happening now in Sacramento. But no, I've seen the designs for this new arena. It looks pretty freaking awesome.
Well, of course, it's going to look nice. That's their job.
The design for these arenas now it's so freaking awesome. Makes the AT&T Center look like a barn, which was part of the design. but it does make the AT&T Center just look horribly bad.
The AT&T Center reminds me of a lunchbox that you used to, if you were doing rivets on High Wire in New York. You just keep waiting, like, oh, Dad, you're off to work. Here, let me hand you the AT&T Center.
It looks like a lunchbox that you found at an antique store somewhere.
I like it. Don't get me wrong, folks. I like the look.
I like
that's
the
what
inside.
It reminds me of.
It's going to look better on the outside. There's more TV screens, LED screens. Yeah, it's going to look better. But the overall design, when you look at what the new Warriors arena is going to look like, what the new Kings arena is going to look like, and I'm sure what the Bucks have planned, $500 million for an arena. When you think about what we said earlier, Sean, the SBC Center, AT&T Center, and the Alamo Dome, both cost about $186 million to be built.
Money well spent.
But now you're doubling that, even a little more than double, to build these newer arenas. And it's crazy. And they even have less seating in them. The age of the 20,000 seat arena is over. Everybody wants, 18,000 seats or less. They want more luxury boxes, and of course, with less seats, you can raise ticket prices.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what it is. They've essentially, the whole atmosphere about these major leagues, whether it being football, basketball, baseball, or it's when you build these lavish buildings, arenas and stuff like that, it really is to cater to more of your richer fans up there.
Right.
And they're essentially getting rid of what I essentially say real fans. Not to say that there's not rich people who aren't real fans, but
they're not the ones standing up chanting defense every time.
Exactly. And that's one of the cool things that Sacramento has said is that they're still going to have like these $10 seats. Mm-hmm. They're not telling people where they are. Mm-hmm. Obviously they're going to be higher level, but they are going to keep lower price tickets for those fans, so you can still go to a Kings game, which is really cool. And the one thing I just want to add about the Kings arena is that it's actually going to be called the Golden One Center because a credit union in California actually bought the rights to that. So it's going to be called the Golden One Center, and Golden One Credit Union will actually be paying $120 million over 20 years to keep that sponsorship going.
It's all about money at that point.
It really is.
It's just like what you call it, just naming the field, naming the court. I'm waiting for the court to be named, building or something like.
I don't think we're that far away. And then
really?
The NBA talked about putting sponsorships on the jerseys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I think would be pretty freaking awesome. I think that's cool.
It's
that's just
NASCAR on 7-footers.
Well, not just that, but it's like football club. Like soccer teams.
Yeah.
They have all these adverts on their jerseys.
It's coming. It's more.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet. Yeah. Are you guys? I'm surprised it's taken this long for it to happen.
Yeah, I could see
especially with your smaller markets.
But then you think too for the NBA, think about how much money they make off of jerseys and things like that. Mm-hmm. So would a fan want to wear a jersey that's just covered in adverts?
Soccer already does it.
Well, here's the thing too.
You're right.
Is also right. You're talking, if we're talking about basketball here, it's not it's not necessarily as traditional as you would have with baseball or something like that. So it would be easier for a sport like that, or like soccer, which is really coming up from the bottom up.
And like
football.
the newest arena in the NBA that's open right now is the Barclays Center, which is in Brooklyn.
Amazing.
It's amazing. But that building, that whole financing thing there in Brooklyn cost $1 billion.
That's just insane.
It's crazy.
Now, have you guys seen the new Vikings stadium for the NFL? Have you seen the blueprints and stuff?
I
of
haven't
that?
seen the blueprints for it.
Look at it. It's amazing what the Minnesota Twins was
got
for
a strong
baseball.
roof.
Yeah, well, it has a slide. I think it's going to be sliding glass actually.
Oh, nice.
Which is even better.
Just open it up.
Yeah, let the sun melt the snow. But the Minnesota Twins opened up the Target Center a couple years ago for baseball.
Target Field.
Target Field. Absolutely incredible. Everything they show on it looks absolutely great. I'm having high hopes for the northern folks that they're going to get the Vikings arena, stadium, field correct.
Stadium, field, building.
Whatever it's going to be called, where they're going to play. I hope it's nice.
But think about it. I mean, we're all so mesmerized about how beautiful it's going to be. You know, Jerry World.
Jerry World. I
everything
mean,
else
look
like
at that.
That's what these
It's
things
incredible.
are built for. But at the same time, he's not the one buying these things.
Yeah, and I mean,
No, because I have the numbers too. So, like, Jerry World cost $1.15 billion, seats 75,000 people. It was put together with taxes, $352 million from Arlington, and even the NFL kicked in $125 million to help build it.
Can we watch a Cowboys game without pitching our money in or realizing, like, hold on, I got to save up for a little bit longer?
Oh no,
I mean,
you have to, because it's like $75 to park. Like,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
exactly.
But because of the stadium, because of the brand that the Cowboys is, I mean, that's why the Cowboys are the number one sports franchise in the world. It's worth $4 billion.
Now, I've actually been to a Cowboys game. It was a couple years ago. It was against Tampa Bay. We actually went to Fort Worth, parked over there for $15, drove almost 45 minutes to get to the stadium because the parking in the front, first of all, is not enough to cover anything close to the amount that you need for that place. And it was still $75 to park out front. The tickets, we were 4 rows from the top on the 30-yard line, were $70.
Yeah.
It's just so insane. And then they had actually beer was surprisingly cheap. It was less than $6. That was the only thing that was surprisingly cheap. The burgers were like $12. It's not a fun experience. Stay
It's
at
like going to
home.
a theme park. It's like going to Disney World.
Yeah, but you don't have a ride.
overpriced. Yeah, exactly. There's no ride.
You just watch one show for 3.5 hours.
How much is a tour?
You don't even get to touch a shark. That's a shame.
Let's see, where else are new things going up? So in Las Vegas, they're building a brand new Las Vegas arena there. It'll seat 20,000 people. It's worth $350 million. It's being built right behind the New York Casino. And the whole reason why Vegas is building this arena is because they want an NHL team. And that still has yet to be
Why?
granted to them. Well, it's because they really wanted an NBA team. You know, the Maloofs were there. They were saying, you know, we're going to move Sacramento down. But that never happened. The Maloofs sold the Kings, and the Kings are going to stay in Sacramento. They're not going to leave anytime soon. And so, you know, the NHL was the next best thing for Vegas. And so they really want a hockey team. They're building this arena for them.
Just sounds like they want to build an arena just to settle for whatever.
Well, I mean,
will fit
it's
in there.
Vegas, so they're going to do like, you
Why
know.
not?
No, it'll be worthwhile for them, but like
Right.
for them to say, I want to know where the money is or who's behind this. You know, who's
I'll
get their hands
tell you,
dirty right there.
for the arena in Las Vegas, it's a combination. It's a brand new business between AEG Live, which are the people that run the Coliseum at Caesars, and also MGM Mirage, which runs all the
other
hotels
half.
on that side. Yeah,
Oh, I can't wait
so
to
they put all their money in to build this arena.
You know, good. They saw the mutual benefit.
Yeah,
in it,
exactly.
and that's nice to see. It is
Yeah, and
nice
it's
to see.
smart. So it'll be owned by MGM, run by AEG Live. But what they did is they got together and built a brand new company that's running the whole thing.
It's gonna look beautiful when they implode that thing.
I can't
In
wait
about 5 years,
when
they're gonna
Ocean's
implode
18
it.
comes out. It's going to be the greatest ending. Now, I'm throwing out something for you guys. What feature on a stadium or arena would you like to see most?
Ooh.
On a new one. It's just an
A
idea.
luxury box that I can get into. That's my own.
You know what I want?
The
They should have a fan-based luxury box. the first like 12, 16 fans that come in, they get wristbands. You have a luxury box. You are a dedicated fan. And it's not going to be center court or the 50-yard line. You're going to be in the end zone. But, hey, we appreciate how passionate you are. I think that'd be cool as hell.
You know, it's not so much about the features for me. I would just like it to be more reasonably priced. Tickets to the game, tickets for food. Tickets for food, but, prices of food, prices of beer. It's so, can you imagine that? Welcome to the AT&T Center. It takes 5 tickets for a hot dog.
Here's your Lone Star card.
Somehow we turned it into a Renaissance fair at the AT&T Center.
Ooh, let's go.
If we haven't gone yet, we're not going to start now.
Let's see what else in the NFL. There's MetLife Stadium, which was the second largest in the NFL, also the most expensive at $1.62 billion to cost to build that thing. I mean, it's just the amount of money for these things is just absolutely crazy. But that one was actually privately funded as well between the Jets and the Giants.
Now, the one that we're going to bring up next is the one I think is in the second most dire need for an upgrade, and that was Candlestick Park for the 49ers. Thank God Levi Stadium came in. It is a trek. It's about 38 miles from the San Francisco city limits. And in fact, it is the furthest stadium for any home team. But it does house almost 70,000 people.
Yeah, and it did just have the Super Bowl, I think it was. It also had a WrestleMania there. So, I mean, that it's already made its money back, I would say, So, it's just crazy the amount of money being spent for these arenas. But then you think about it, you spend 3-4 hours there, you use the amenities there. That was one of the big things with the AT&T centers, had 32 restrooms, crazy things like that, multiple selections, and now the new AT&T Center is going to have a full-service Whataburger where you'll actually be able to dine in at the arena, even when there's not a Spurs game or event going on. You'll be able to go to the AT&T Center to get Whataburger.
Now, I have one question only. Can I get the honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich?
Yes, you can.
I better damn well. If it's not there, you're going to get a letter.
I want full menu. I want to be able to get breakfast at 11 o'clock.
You better bring cash.
Sausage egg taquito.
I don't like their taquitos.
God, they're good.
And the funny thing, I'm not a fan of Whataburger. I really don't like. I like In-N-Out more, but that's me. But Whataburger, I don't like.
Do you also play guitars? I'm just asking. But anyways, folks,
you can get your sandwiches somewhere else.
Your sandwiches.
How many S's are in chicken? But anyways, folks, the one
we can say that. You
can't say that.
What been here a while.
Okay, back to arenas and stadiums, guys.
Now, the one stadium that needs to get upgraded before anybody else is the Oakland Athletics baseball field / Oakland Raiders football field. It looks terrible.
Don't care.
Well, they do want to get. Both the A's and the Raiders want a brand new stadium. They both can agree to share the home. The A's are basically, we're going to take the property, kind of do our own thing with it because it's county owned.
Yeah.
And that's why the Raiders. There's all that rumors that the Raiders, maybe we'll move to San Antonio, maybe we'll move to Los Angeles.
They're not coming here.
They're not coming here.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
we're not getting anybody.
Ever.
This stadium in Los Angeles that they supposedly want to build, I don't even know where it is in the planning stages, but that stadium is 22 miles east of downtown Los Angeles. It's hoping to attract a football team, whether it's the Raiders, the Rams, or the Chargers. And I'm hearing with the designs of the Los Angeles stadium that it will actually make Jerry World look humble.
Good.
So think about
I'm okay with that.
Think about that.
But will it have the fine art that Jerry World is renowned for?
It's going to be a great place to lose football games.
Exactly. Yes, good call on that, Frank. Let's see, where else are they putting up? Oh, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but they were talking about moving the Missions away from Wolf Stadium, and they want to build a brand new stadium somewhere downtown and move the Missions there. And it's all Ivy Taylor's idea because I guess the city did some sort of survey that said that people would be really interested and would go to Mission baseball games if the stadium was located downtown.
How many people from San Antonio enjoy going downtown when they're not working downtown?
Not for paying parking for $20 for parking.
No way. Wolf Stadium. I mean, it's a little bit of a trek. I wouldn't go downtown.
It's great when you're in high school or just out of high school.
Yeah.
After a while, it's like I got to work. I don't want to go there anymore. It's a place where unless it's a convention where you wear costumes and stuff.
Like a Comic-Con.
Comic-Con, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, there's no
getting arrested.
There's no appeal for me, especially if they have a dollar night trying to maneuver the streets of downtown with all those one ways.
Right, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the whole reason is by trying to move it. I don't understand why you
for
want
a
to
minor
invest.
league team too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's it.
But that's the whole thing.
We
that
love the missions. I like to go to them, but I don't really. It's like Spurs mission. I go to a missions game if someone says, "Hey, I got tickets."
Well,
you know,
exactly.
Unless it's going to be enclosed.
Yeah, and I guess this whole survey says
retractable roof.
if it's
How great would
downtown,
that be?
if it's downtown, the people will come, and I just don't buy it. I'm not going to go down to a missions game.
Well,
I will only go to a missions game, like you said, Frank,
but
if somebody has a free ticket.
But you know what? You got to look at it in a grander scheme, though, because they are trying to rejuvenate downtown. That might be just kind of a sell that can get something there. I don't know.
And then where are you going to put it downtown? There's like
That's
no
what I'm
freaking. You're
wondering.
going to put it at the Pearl? Like where are you going to put it?
Destroyed
No, the
everything
Pearl
up
is
there
all
that's
full.
up there.
Well, exactly. I mean, where are you going to put it? There's no room. There's no room downtown.
So I think we're all agreeing that it's a terrible idea. I vote terrible.
I vote
idea.
no. That's a terrible idea.
So the Go Spurs Go memes stance on this is leave it where it's at. It's fine.
No on prop, whatever it is. I don't freaking know. Anyways.
Well, let's end on a higher note. Any big plans for this week, Frank?
I am gonna edit this podcast.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And hopefully get something out by Monday. But I am gonna go sleep. I've been working for the past 4 weeks straight, and
Are you
it's gonna
tired,
feel good.
Frank?
I'm extremely tired.
to
We are
bed,
actually
man.
recording this Saturday
Morning.
and I look at the clock right now. It's 12:05, and I still need to do my pickums.
Oh, you better get them done
Exactly.
because it is SATURDAY.
Yes.
It's college football tomorrow. We're excited about the pick'ems. Frank, don't forget to do your picks.
What do you got planned this week?
Sean, I don't think I really have anything. Not doing the radio gig this week. I don't think there's anything big. Oh, I did start doing Hollow Scream at SeaWorld yesterday, so I'll be doing that this coming week. So excited about that. Got to go see the new Haunt. I did go on Periscope with it, so if you're on Periscope, you did get to see that. It was a lot of fun. It looks freaking amazing. So I'm very, very excited about that.
Can we go, or maybe even do a remote over there?
Maybe. We could probably see about doing
Plans, people. We have plans.
that. We have plans. Sean, how about you, buddy? What do you got planned this week?
Not a damn thing. All I want to do is wake up, go to work, have
Smoke
a decent
weed.
lunch. No, sir, not this man. You got me confused for another
That
man.
makes Notre Dame interesting.
It kind of
Blame
does.
me. Maybe after the game I'll think about it. But
Anyways, guys, thanks so much for listening to us. That was Sean, that was Frank, and I'm Ray. Appreciate all the feedback and the support. As always, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. As always, on Periscope for Periscope Tuesdays. We will see you guys next week for podcast number 5. It'll be our 5th anniversary for our fifth podcast, so maybe we'll do something special.
we're gonna shotgun beers, Ray.
Right before we go on the air, right, Sean?
Get ready, folks.
Anyways,
Put the kids to bed.
just want to say thank you to my co-host Sean for being here, driving in from Austin to be here. We do have a special guest with us in studio. That's Mr. John Buckley, who's one of the greatest dads around in the San Antonio area. Love John. Thank you for
Love you,
being here,
Dad.
John. Thank you to Frank, the producer, the best producer that anybody could ask for getting the brand new equipment, making everything was set up perfectly for us, and of course to Buddy, the engineer, making sure that we sound fantastic. I know I've already started listening to this during the breaks. It sounds amazing. It sounds way better than anything that we've done, and it's all because of these two guys. So thank you guys very much. Also, shout out to my wife Yvonne. Thank you so much for supporting Go Spurs Go Memes from the very beginning. And
great,
we will
Yvonne.
talk to you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Memes. I'm like a cabbage.
I just noticed one part of your hair goes up as the other one. So.
Frank, you're looking at a man with 13 cowlicks. That's why it's always short and really messy.
13, huh?
Yeah.
That's a lucky number, right?